Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tales. Welcome back to the Cincinnati Chronicles. I'm sat here without any of my usual Bengals clothing, but I do have my lovely mug, so that will just have to do. So welcome, hello. It's our second story arc for Cincinnati Chronicles, our ongoing anthology series of the World of Darkness, using the World of Darkness kind of 20th anniversary editions, telling 5 stories over some time, all set on the same day, all set in Cincinnati in 1995. Hi, not vampires anymore. Now we're werewolves. Werewolf the Apocalypse, to be precise. The second tabletop role-playing game I ever bought. I am excited. I know at least one of our players is wildly excited, and the other 3 are probably, they're fine. So before we get into the action, as per usual, I'm going to do a little bit of promo. Bear with me. Down below, there is a bunch of links. There's links to our YouTube and to our Twitch. You're watching this on one of them. Please check out the other. Our Twitch is where you can watch all this stuff live, and our YouTube is where there are now hundreds of previous streams covering loads of different systems, one-shots and ongoing series, and all. There's something for everyone there. Probably as long as you like tabletop role-playing actual plays. Otherwise, not so much. We also have links down below to our Discord, to our Patreon, to our social media. You know what all those things do. I don't have to explain them to you. We run 3 games weekly, all of them starting at 8 o'clock in the evening GMT. Mondays, up until recently, has been Shadows of Estrin, which will return, the kind of low gothic fantasy game from Studio Agate. Instead, while that's on hiatus, we're going to get a 2-week story, like a sort of mini-series, which is sounds like quite a fun thing from Johnny, where he's running a Call of Cthulhu story set aboard a space station in the near future, kind of a modern kind of space station, kind of like ISS type thing. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That starts on Monday and goes for 2 weeks. Wednesdays is Simbroom, our long-running flagship series. And Thursdays at the moment is, Cincinnati Chronicles. That's what you're here for. We also have one-shots on the first weekend of every month. We ran a poll recently so people could vote for the final one-shot of 2021, and they voted for a sequel to the first one-shot we ever ran, which is the Alien tabletop RPG from Free League. That ran back in February, a story called A Place of Burning, and this Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. GMT, you can tune in for the sequel to that, which is a happy tale called A Congress of Sorrows. So, with all that in mind, let's start moving on. We don't have any recaps for you this week, obviously. The events that happened in the story arc of Vampire, will they have certain things that affect the other stories, and will these stories affect the things that happen there? Yes, absolutely, but you don't need to have watched that to enjoy this. We're starting fresh with some characters. And also, it's worth noting that if you go, the lineup's changed a little bit, that is intentional. We have 5 people playing in Cincinnati Chronicles, and each of them is going to miss one of the story arcs to give them some time off, because it takes a lot of time and effort, this streaming role-playing stuff lark. So, yes, let's introduce them one by one. First off, playing the character known as, the Garou, the werewolf, known as Beanstalk, we have Chris.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm delighted. I am filled with hype. This is my very first ever role-playing game, and it has a principal seat at the table of my heart.
Lovely. Awesome. And of course, as the hairiest, at least on the head of all of us, you can, it presumably resonates you in a deep way. Not in any of the spiritual messages or anything like that, just the hair.
I hate the planet and everything that lives on it. So actually, it's a difficult character for me to get into.
Yeah, you got to stretch there to get there. But how about you introduce the character of Beanstalk to us? And it's worth saying, by the way, folks, if you aren't au fait with Werewolf the Apocalypse, we're not going to kind of grind everything to a halt and introduce the world and the society of the werewolves hugely, but I'll try and drop bits and pieces in as we go so people can understand. But let's have a walk through Beanstalk.
So Beanstalk, or Stalk, or Bean, or in the Garou tongue, Stalks the Camp, is a Metis Silent Strider, quite a mysterious one, who, while very young, arrived at the kind of I completely forgot. Thank you.
That's all right.
Who arrived at the storied Sept of the Green, which is where our pack originates from, with an unusual background and a case of industry standard memory loss about his earlier life, but with the blessing of quite a renowned mentor who shall remain nameless, and with the profession of kind of a spirit runner. Someone who travels through the Umbra, the spirit realm analog to the real world, delivering messages and tending to the affairs of spirits. Beanstalk is a metis and is aware of that fact, and is also really most comfortable not in the land of humanity. I hope to portray him as being quite a halting speaker when forced to talk in English, but much more fluent in the Garou tongue, and also fluent in their rituals. People would notice him being someone who, while very young, acts a lot older in terms of their etiquette and being able to engage with elders and tribes and talk about the more esoteric matters of the spirit realms and the relationship the Garou have with Gaia and the spheres and the Tellurian.
And so you could say, in a way, were it not for his status as Metis, which is a breed of Garou who are looked down upon by Garou society as a whole, he's kind of a Garou's Garou, right? He exists very much within that society, albeit unfortunately low down in it to no fault of his own. Yeah, and it's interesting you say he's a traveller and a spirit runner, because our pack, as we meet them, you will discover are on a road trip, and they have a journey to make. So clearly Beanstalk is a very good fellow to have along with them. Let's introduce our second player and therefore our second character. Let's bring on Pierre. You know him and love him. You know him from such things as being Pierre. And that's Pierre.
And Pierre!
Yeah. And who will rid me of this turbulent Pierre? Hi. Pierre is playing Marco Vermangia. I'm not sure of the exact pronunciation, but that's fine because I'm sure Pierre also isn't. Yes. Who is a rather different kind of character from Beanstalk. Why don't you walk through Marco, please?
Yeah, Marco's he is much more sort of, he's a homid, which means that he was born sort of human, and he's a bit more human-y than he leans a bit more towards that human side than perhaps Beanstalk ever did. He's kind of scruffy and always hungry and fairly simple, but I don't know, maybe he appears simple. He likes to put across the image of simple, but there is a certain cunning to him. His sort of nature is that he belongs to the tribe of the Bone Gnawers, and is it fair to say that they're less badly looked down upon than the Metis?
Yeah, broadly, yes, but it can definitely be said that a Metis Bone Gnawer is the absolute nadir of Garou society.
Yeah. So he understands what it's like to have people look down on you, but maybe not quite as much as Beanstalk does.
And it's worth saying that the Bone Gnawers basically don't care if you're Metis, because, like you say, it's like, well, what's the point in caring about that? If you're already at the bottom of the pile.
We definitely don't look down on people. We welcome individuals of all stripes,
as long as they've got some food.
As long as they got some food and they're practical and they can offer something, that's the thing.
Absolutely. In terms of Marco's presence in the pack, the Sept of the Green that Chris mentioned that you're traveling from in New York, in Central Park to be precise, is a Bone Gnawer cairn run by a Bone Gnawer Sept. So back where you come from, Marco may maybe even slightly higher in the pecking order than the others, but probably not out here.
Yeah, and occasionally I can, I carry with me like a clave, which is an incredibly unusual weapon for a bone gnawer to have.
Yes, it's kind of a weapon for prominent warriors and Garu nobility.
Yeah.
So who knows where Marco got it from? A clave, for anyone who does not know, is a kind of silver dagger, essentially, that Garu can use for fighting each other to great effect. So that is Marco, played by Pierre. Let's move on next to Holly. Holly is joining us. This is your first series on Telling Tales, isn't it, Holly? I think.
Yeah, the first.
We're 4 episodes.
Yeah, I've been in a few one-shots, but
absolutely. And folk out there will recognise Holly from being a persistent and excellent presence on our one-shots. So you are going to be playing Zoe.
Yeah.
A child of Gaia. Why don't you walk us through Zoe?
Yeah. So Zoe's a Homid as well. So grew up in the Midwest with her dad, but following the difficult transition to realizing that they were a Garu, has since joined the kind of section of the Child of Gaia tribe that her mum goes around with that's more nomadic, really, and has been kind of going all over the US, mostly to protest and stuff, to slightly get beat up by police, but also beat them up and cause various acts of vandalism.
Yeah, and try hard not to eat them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Industrial sabotage is the specialty.
Well, then it's probably not a concept we've gone through, but it's very possible that you have some experience in what Garu generally call being a monkey wrencher, which is an industrial and corporate saboteur who tries to fix some of the kind of pollutive and entropic problems of the world by blowing shit up.
Yeah. She is an eco warrior at heart, but is probably best summed up by the phrase "Let's come together to tear stuff apart."
That is
quite angry.
That is a perfect Child of Gaia motto. Yes, absolutely. If anyone out there does not know, obviously Holly's character is more kind of classic human eco warrior-y. But in case anyone doesn't know, all Garu, or all of the Garu we are playing here, are essentially eco warriors, all venerating a mother goddess called Gaia and fighting against a corruptive and decaying force called the Worm. So let's bring on our final player. Let's bring on Inga. And Inga, who Monday nights have very kindly loaned us for the purpose of the Cincinnati Chronicles, for which we are eternally grateful. Inga is going to be playing, is it Layla or Lila? Lila. A Get of Fenris. And there is not a more Get of Fenris art breeder picture than that very Scandi individual. Is there some Kate Blanchett in there?
Not intentionally, but oh my gosh, I love that. Yes. Now, honestly, yes.
Yes, Lila will be played by Kate Blanchett in the eventual movie adaptation of this. Why don't you walk us through Lila?
So she is not overly dissimilar to Zoe in terms of, sort of come together to tear stuff apart. She's Get of Fenris. She's definitely very action oriented, and she does enjoy a good fight, but she also enjoys a good time generally. She's a Galliard, so she is at heart a storyteller and very much sort of, I guess, bard like in that kind of sense, like interested in kind of stories and lore and in history and how we can live that now as well, in terms of that being action oriented and creating the stories as well. Down for a good fight and a good time in general, I guess is Lila, sorry. Yeah,
there we go. So this pack of kind of not entirely a pack of misfits, but certainly kind of an oddly matched up little pack, are currently to kind of give everyone the prologue of this story, have been given a diplomatic mission to carry out by the Sept of the Green in New York, and are currently on a road trip cross-country heading to the Sept of the Western Eye in San Francisco in order to carry out said mission, traveling across country in a classic VW camper van. And it may surprise none of you, those of you who are familiar with the Cincinnati Chronicles concept, they're probably not going to get to San Francisco in this story. And indeed, that's where we'll pick up. But just before we do, what I'd like from you, and this is a high-pressure moment, improv style, high stakes. I would like each of you, one at a time, and I'm going to randomly generate which person starts, just to add to the massive discomfort of it. I would like one of each of you to describe a feature of the VW camper van, bearing in mind that this is a vehicle which has been given to you by the Bone Gnawers. So, bear that in mind. They don't have much money. We will start. We'll start so appropriately with our Bone Gnawer. We will start with Pierre. Give us a detail, Pierre.
Yeah, so I think that the one of the windows at the back is just gone. It's like it's like hastily plasticed up over, and like the when it's cold, it really gets very cold because of the constant draft coming in. Yeah, the van is not in good shape.
Absolutely, that sounds good. For our second detail, let's go to Inga.
Yeah, with whatever is to hand, anything that is sustainable using, little sort of like cave drawing type things will have been done along the inside walls of the van, depicting any previous little tales or picturizing. What's the word I'm looking for?
Word here? Now depicting.
Yeah. Depicting, yeah, thank you. Depicting some of our little adventures along the way. You're on mute.
I like to imagine that the pictures are like which the ones that were drawn by me, like Marco appears like way bigger and more impressive, and and it's like, and then the ones that were drawn by everyone else, it's like, oh, there was Marco running away.
Good fun with mute buttons and failing mice. It's fine now. So yeah, absolutely, that sounds fantastic. For our penultimate fact about the camper van, let's turn to Chris, and I would point out no one has yet said what color it is or what's on the outside in any way. But Chris, what do you have in mind?
I'd already made up my mind that I'm going to borrow a feature from a car my father used to drive me around in as a kid. Over the kind of rear wheel arch and rear kind of footwell, there is literally a hole, and you can see the road out the bottom. It's not a big hole. It's not a dangerous hole, but it very clearly has a crusting of rust around it. And driving over wet roads, the person sitting above it will end up with slightly damp shins.
Yeah. No rolling dice in this camper van. You'll lose them on the interstate. So Holly, for our final factoid about the camper van, please.
Okay, so it was intended to be orange, the actual paint, but it's from like the 70s, so it is still orange, but most of that is rust orange because it's so rusty. And then that's reflected inside as well. It's got like that disgusting 70s like velour seating.
Sure.
You know the kind that you got in old camper vans.
Yeah. So you just feel like you're sitting on
brown.
You feel like you're sitting on grubby carpet.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. So there we go. This is the vehicle in which our pack is traversing across country, and it's that vehicle we're going to start on. And this vehicle is puttering and making very alarming noises as it is driving down a street in downtown Cincinnati. People walking by are kind of turning and glancing as the occasional burst of black smoke and foul smelling, kind of petrol scented smells come out from the back of it until eventually it finally completely loses the will to go any further and grinds to a halt, steered in just about to the side of the road safely by whoever is in the passenger seat. Not the passenger seat, that would be weird. Whoever's in the driving seat. Who amongst you has drive as a stat? Marco, everyone but the one who didn't grow up as human. Yeah, I am just going to roll a die for it because I feel like the pack would share duties in a much more convivial way than our vampire coterie did, which was a kind of cutthroat operation of trying to sneak into the driver's seat.
In fairness, it was also a much nicer car.
It absolutely was a much nicer car. So Zoe is driving in this at this moment in this circumstance. Inside the camper van, it is very obvious that it's just given up the ghost, and it rattles to a halt. As I said, you're in downtown Cincinnati, a location that the homid among you aren't directly uncomfortable in, although the city smells, they're much worse than they were when you were growing up. You can now scent all the little details of like the pollution and the smog and the sweat of the humans and stuff like that. But at the same time, you live in New York, so you're used to this sort of being bombarded in a sensory fashion like this. It's a fairly standard downtown street. It has a number of shops and services. It's busy-ish. It's not packed. It's approaching midday on a very, very warm July afternoon in 1995. The sun is out. There's not a cloud in the sky, but the sun is at least slightly dimmed by the smog and smoke of the city. The only notable building, as I said, there's like a laundrette and like maybe a video store and stuff like that. By far the most welcoming location nearby where one could source any help for any kind of broken down vehicle is a diner, a 50s diner. There is a sign over it referring to it as the Spindrift Diner. It is large and quite brightly lit and has a large... well, not a large, but like a little parking lot that maybe if three of you got out and pushed, you could kind of at least steer the vehicle into it. But that's my blurb.
Okay, yeah. Well, as soon as it just fails, I'm gonna steer it into the side of the road and then get out and ask the others to push while I push and steer.
Yeah, all right. That was not a good noise. Oh.
Yeah, let's get it into the parking lot so that we can have a look.
Yeah, okay.
You can absolutely steer this in, and normally I wouldn't roll for a thing like that for four quite powerful people to push, a camper van into a parking lot. But this is an ideal circumstance to do our first roll, isn't it? Our first roll as a group. So if everyone please could roll. I'd say strength plus, everyone is going to roll strength plus athletics apart from Zoe, who's going to roll probably strength plus drive. And then your target number is 6. It's not going to go kind of up from there. And I'm looking for a total number of successes among you of 5.
Yes, 5 alone.
Oh!
So I'm leaning in and
Lila just
I just need a little bit of a victory parade because on 4d10 I got 3 10s.
Nice. Good lord. I'm going to say for this, Zoe, you get out and you're staying. How many successes did you get, Pierre? Just out of interest.
I got 1.
1, okay. Yeah, you get out and kind of brush yourself down, although, you're probably usually covered with some kind of vague dust or soiling in some way. And as you walk to the back to kind of push, get ready to do this, you basically put one hand on it and Lila and Beanstalk just heave it forward and it just glides quite smoothly and steadily into a parking space with Zoe navigating it. Beautiful job. Elegantly done by the pack. I mean, not the most glorious of successes in the war against the worm, but hey, everything counts.
Excellent teamwork there. I pat Layla on the back, and then I sort of like instinctively flinch. So, shall we go and ask if they've got anyone who can help?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll like have a look under the hood and see if there's anything that can be done.
Absolutely. Go ahead and give me a maybe an intelligence plus drive roll. Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to fix the difficulty on this as 8 because I don't think you're probably that advanced in repairing vehicles and more blowing them up, I guess. And
well,
yeah.
I got 2 10s, so I get 2 successes.
That's great. There's something really seriously wrong with the undercarriage of this vehicle. You're fairly sure there are bits that are meant to be there that are not there.
Okay.
And at least one of the axles is kind of, you can see where it's splitting. So
Okay.
it's not in a good way at all whatsoever. And it is definitely more than you can cope with because all you have is a spare tire pinned to the back.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I'll just say to the rest, yeah, this isn't going anywhere.
It is better to run anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I take your point, Beanstalk, but like let's get this. I mean, I prefer the van. Can we?
I would also prefer some lunch.
Oh,
Food is a good shout. Food is a good shout.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, let's go into the diner and see what they've got.
As you Beanstalk, as you turn around to go through the I'm gonna do this in an interesting way. So the Pack's totem, for people who are aware of totems in Werewolf, they're the spirit via which they sort of pledge their allegiance to, and who watches over them and protects them, is Raven. And amongst other advantages that Raven gives them, there is a ban, and that is that the Pack is not allowed to accumulate or carry any kind of wealth whatsoever, any currency. So here's what we're going to do, folks. Beanstalk, you're the one who wants food. Why don't you? How many points have you got in totem? This is not a rule. I'm just making this up.
I actually give 1 point into totem.
Okay, then why don't you roll that 1 die for me, please?
Oof. I got a 4.
You got a 4. Well, then you find yourself turning and kind of like having a realization that humans charge money for food, and kind of patting yourself down and finding yourself, you certainly don't have any money.
Of course. We should first ask if they can help with the vehicle.
I was about to say, yeah. Let's say that we've broken down and see.
We will place our trust in Raven, and I will. I'll go see if I can find us something quickly. Beanstalk peels enigmatically off, which is difficult because I do want to talk about what he's wearing.
Yeah, please describe Beanstalk. Let's do that.
So as Metis Garu have a disfigurement of some kind because it's effectively kind of an analog to inbreeding. Beanstalk says that he is in all his forms he's abnormally tall and lanky, which is hence where the nickname came from. He is also not well versed in being kind of in this form and in this society, and his clothes are kind of this purple suit jacket, grey trousers, and kind of green felt shirt, kind of a power suit from the 1980s that has not had not aged well at the turn of the decade and is continuing to not age well now, even in 1993, which is where we are now, I believe.
95, but yes.
95.
The point remains, yes.
But I will be kind of slinking off. I assume this is the diner is a standalone building, is it? Or
It is a standalone building. There's a bit of a distance between it and the surrounding sort of blocks of stores and services.
I'll be slinking off around the side then to maybe do a bit of foraging.
Absolutely, go ahead and do that. Are the other three of you all going into the diner?
Yeah, I think Beanstalk can handle getting us some lunch.
Absolutely. So, as you head in, as I say, the diner seems sort of friendly and open and well lit. It has a 50s theme inside, which some of the players already know. And like it has a lot of those old kind of like 50s style booths stretching across one wall, a kind of big, gleamingly polished metal counter, a kind of red and pink and white theme. There's a pool table over on one corner with a large TV above it, which is currently showing an old kind of 50s black and white film, some kind of like slightly noirish romantic thriller of some kind. There are a number of customers around, most of whom are just quietly sitting, eating and reading a newspaper. This is 95 after all. There is one older man who's visibly kind of leaning back and snoring with a big empty plate of pancakes in front of him. And the only attendant you can hear some voices out talking in the kitchen, but the only attendant you can see is a tall, quite kind of hefty built young man with very pale blonde hair. He is kind of putting his work, he seems to be like getting ready for work essentially. Maybe he's just arrived on his shift and he's kind of buttoning up and putting on a sort of apron thing. And as he turns towards whoever is approaching, the counter, you can see that he has a name tag on that says Marshall.
Hi there, Marshall. I don't suppose you have any ability to help some people in need. Our car has run into some difficulty in your parking lot, and we're trying to get somewhere important. Is there any help you can offer us?
Oh, he kind of like runs one hand through this kind of like floppy mess of sort of pale blonde hair, and he steps out from behind the counter and kind of wanders over, kind of past the other two of you to the big windows across the front and kind of peers out and goes, "Is that yours? The VW?"
Yeah, she's a beauty.
That's really nice. I like it. Kind of old school, you know?
Yeah, it's got that classic kind of vibe. But at the moment, it don't run so good. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Marshall seems kind of spacey in his general vibe, but he definitely seems well-intentioned.
Yeah.
I think you could give my cousin a call. She's a mechanic. She's got a motor shop just on the north side of downtown. Like, she's got a tow truck. I could give you her number or her address if you just want to go straight there, but I guess you can't drive, right?
Yeah, we're kind of new in town. How far is that?
It's not too far. It's less than an hour's walk. But I guess if you got to get your van there anyway, I could just give you the number. You can use our phone if you want.
I was about to say, yeah. Could we use your phone, and that'd be great.
Sure, it's broken. You don't need to put any money in.
Oh,
thanks.
That works great.
Can I get you guys something to eat and drink while we're waiting?
Yeah. And I sort of like awkwardly like pat my pockets and like
maybe we can. I think we need to see what we can do about the van first, if you don't mind. It's a bit of a pressing one, but you're so kind. Thanks so much.
My belly growls incredibly loudly.
That's okay. I can see you guys are nice folks. I'll I'll just be over there if you need me. He kind of wanders over behind the bar and just sort of starts sweeping it. You get the impression that as soon as you've moved out of this conversation, he is off somewhere else entirely, kind of sweeping up and whistling an odd little tune to himself.
Did he actually give us the number?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, sure. He kind of patted himself down a bit and then realized it's not on him and went over behind the bar and got out like an old, very battered looking business card that he handed over that says Harald's Motors on it, with like a little cartoon picture of like a very old fashioned cartoony picture of a Viking on it.
Oh, this is the one.
Get of Fenris approves of Vikings. So why don't we find ourselves in that sort of side alley by the diner, where hopefully we will not... It's a really weird thing for me to go, scene, side of an alley, by a diner, because I literally was reminded of the Mulholland Drive scene this week, which takes place there, which, if you haven't seen it, is one of the most legitimately terrifying things ever committed to film. So... Chris, you are in the side of the diner, and now are you just looking for anything that might ease this situation?
I am putting my trust in Raven and asking for their assistance in this matter, and I'm going for a bit of a dumpster dive because out the back of the diner there must always be food waste, especially in '95. Absolutely.
Well, why don't you? You know what? You can give me a wits plus survival roll. And hey, there's something about survival, huh?
Yeah, so because we have Raven as our totem, we get a bonus 3 dice in survival. Beanstalk is a astute person with a wits of 3, and is across. It spends most of his time in the Umbra in survival situations, so has a survival of 3. So this is a 9 dice roll.
9 dice roll. I'm going to set it at a difficulty of 7 because I think it's a reasonable place to try and find something. But at the same time, things aren't going to be just lying on the ground.
Let's go. Oof. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
That's great. And you know what I think we're going to do is you, as you're kind of browsing around and looking, there's a distinct lack of smell of food waste around here, which on one hand kind of you like and encourages you, as like the people who run this diner clearly don't waste these things, which is important to you. But also is kind of inconvenient. Inconvenient, that is, until as you're kind of looking around the side of a dumpster, you see something on the ground. That something is a leather wallet. I take it you're going to pick up and have a little look in it?
I will, yes.
Absolutely.
Gingerly, because I can't handle wealth. But
definitely. It has, for start, it's a very big packed wallet, and it's big and packed because it has a lot of credit cards in it, and like an ID of like, you know, country club membership and sort of lots of things with even with your rudimentary understanding of human society strike you as this isn't your kind of human very much at all. You know, this is someone who hoards wealth to themselves instead of trusting in something like Raven to be able to survive and bring it to them. However, luckily for you, it also has stuffed in it, and I'm going to randomize here a little bit. It has stuffed in it $50. Which in 95 goes a bit further. It's certainly enough to buy diner food for you all and have some left over.
We cannot carry wealth. Are we bending the rule in that we can't accumulate wealth?
This isn't it's definitely not accumulating it if you pick it up and take it in and spend it.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of pick that up and kind of walk back around the front. I imagine, has anyone left the diner at this stage? If not, I will go right in.
Sounds like they're all still there.
Yeah, I'm just like ogling the various pies. Like there's a delicious looking chocolate pie right there, and I'm like,
callback.
So I'll take a look at the menu, and and I will order up a nice plate of something, and just address the others as well, and go. We can eat. What would you like?
What would everyone like? Marshall is happy to take your order.
I'll probably just get like a massive thing of chili and some fries.
Classic Cincinnati food, absolutely.
Oh, that sounds great. I'll have some of that too.
I'll like be sort of tentatively reaching for this like chocolate pie, and then I'll like hear the thing about chili and go, actually, I'll go in on a chili. The chili sounds good.
I mean, they probably don't do steak, but they probably do like a roast lamb or something, or some kind of big meaty.
They'll certainly, with the kind of Germanic influences of Cincinnati, there'll definitely be like some sausages on the go like and things like that.
Some kind of big, hefty sausage affair, whatever.
Yeah, sure. In fact, Marshall kind of takes your order and says, "Well, you folks are in need, so I'll see what I can do about. I'll have a little bit of a chef's spice sausage added to everything if you want."
Oh, that is very kind. Thank
you. You are a very nice man.
Oh, thank you. I like working here.
Well, yeah, I like you working here too.
He kind of lets out a little soft laugh at that, and walks away and goes to like take your order. Like, I want you to imagine that the back of the diner is always kind of this muffled voice. It's kind of like a less grating version of the adults in Peanuts. You never quite hear what people are saying behind there, but it's just you hear Marshall calling out the orders. Are you going to go take a booth, or are you gonna call Marshall's cousin? What's going to happen?
I think I'll definitely kind of take a booth and try and gather some people for a pre-dinner chat. And I will place the wallet on the table and say, Raven has provided.
Oh. Thanks.
I will once again depart briefly. I wish to check. So I will kind of make my way towards the bathrooms.
Okay. How about everyone else?
Well, I'm probably just going to say to the others, well, hopefully that at least covers the mechanic looking at the car.
Do you think... I don't know if that's okay.
Well, Raven is provided and Marshall's a friend. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. Who wants to ring her, by the way?
I'll give her a bell.
Okay. Can I? Oh, actually, no. They said it didn't need money, so we're all good.
Yeah, it's broken, so you can just dial it however you like.
Right.
So how about we go to that conversation? Marco, are you just going over to the phone and giving the number a dial, I assume?
Yeah, I'll punch in the number.
Sure. There's a couple of calls, and then a woman's voice answers the phone, kind of slightly raspy, saying, "Harold's Motors."
Oh, hey. We've just been given this number by Marshall.
Okay. Yeah.
Our VW is just broken down at that diner, and we need some help. I'm not entirely sure we have very much money, so could you?
I mean, I guess I appreciate you saying that up front. Okay, well, if you're friends with Marshall, sure. I got a lot on my plate, but is it there?
Yeah, it's here. It's got a little broken thing on the bottom.
I can tell you're a mechanic yourself. Oh, okay. Look, I'll hop in my tow truck and I'll be there in about half an hour. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. All right.
Oh, thank you very much. You're all so lovely, you marshals. Or sorry, what's your name again?
You can call me Becca.
Okay.
Marshall's his first name. A mechanic and a close friend, I see. Okay, no, that's no problem. I'll be there soon.
Thanks. I'll turn to the others and say, she thought I was a car person, like a mechanic or something.
You're not though, are you? You can't fix our car.
No, but like you can see how I could like, connect on the same level.
Great. Is she coming? Or is she left you to it?
No, she's coming. She's coming.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
convince her that well. Yeah.
Oh, great.
I definitely got this impression of Lila so far, this kind of very perky, happy, Scandi kind of person, and then horrible violence is going to ensue at some point. Fantastic. We're in the bathroom with Beanstalk, and now, not that I'm not guessing just because I know a lot about werewolf folks, but I'm guessing Beanstalk is going into the bathroom because there's a mirror in there.
Oh, you got me in one, friend GM. I would like to peek.
Do you have the? Is that a standard ability in V20,
it is
or is
a
it
standard ability? I believe it'll buff the difficulty of the roll, which if I recall, is a Gnosis roll. But
it is indeed a Gnosis roll. We've got it on our cheat sheet here for stepping sideways. I don't know how much the difficulty is increased to peak. Do you know offhand?
It should just be +1.
+1. Okay, that's absolutely fine. What I want you to do then, and what he is doing, for anyone who is confused out there, is there is a spirit realm that is both layered over our kind of material world and stretches out further to even odder and more abstract places of spiritual power and bizarreness. And it's called the Umbra. And what Beanstalk is doing as a Theurg, a werewolf shaman, essentially, that he is going in to peek into the Umbra and see what the area is like within the Umbra, which can often tell you far more about the area than just looking at it in the material world. The reason he is going in to a bathroom to do this is in order to step sideways or peek into the Umbra in any way. And this is a slight difference in V20. You have to have a reflective surface. It doesn't reduce the difficulty of it. You have to have a reflective surface to gaze into and kind of go through the reflection into the umbral realm. So what you're doing is rolling your Gnosis, which is essentially like your spiritual power. The difficulty will be set by the local gauntlet, i.e. how separate from the spirit world this area is. And let me tell you, you're in downtown Cincinnati, so it's pretty difficult. In fact, with the +1 for peaking, that is going to be a difficulty of 9, my friend.
Well,
do you want to spend willpower to...
It's all well and good that I have natural channel, which is a merit that consistently reduces the difficulty for me to step sideways by 1.
Is that a gift or a merit or something?
That is a merit, and it stems from Beanstalk's unusual upbringing and circumstances of his discovery.
Fantastic.
I would also just like to have a quick check and make sure there's no cameras in the room, but very unlikely.
Sure, absolutely. Although for peeking, it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, that is kind of also fair enough.
If you were stepping sideways, you would vanish off the camera. But yes. If you're peeking, there are no cameras anyway. It's 1995. There aren't cameras in the restroom.
In bathrooms anyway, yeah. 4 dice at difficulty 8. Let's go. Oh, 1 success.
Okay. I'm going to assume that the peaking success effects are the same as for the stepping sideways ones, which means it takes you 5 minutes to kind of tune into the gauntlet of the area and kind of make your way through it to be able to perceive, even through the mirror briefly, the umbral realm around you. But you eventually manage to do it, and you feel the physical world slide away from your perceptions like a velvet shadow dissipating around you, and lo and behold, you find yourself catching a glimpse of the Umbra of downtown Cincinnati. The diner is around you, but is a sort of, it's not enough of a presence in this world to really provide a real solid environment. And you can kind of see your way through the walls of it up to further afield as the regular lines and geometric shapes of Cincinnati itself stretch out around you. You can see towering above in the kind of like main downtown area, huge columns of glittering metal and kind of glass that oversee the entire city, skittering shapes high above of the web spiders and weaver spirits going about their business. You see vague shades of the humans around you. You see the kind of comforting images like after effects of your pack in the real world over there, kind of somehow feeling a kind of warmth and realistic. Sort of to see them in the Umbra feels like home to you. The only other thing of note, there is nothing kind of like horribly worm tainted in the immediate environment. Obviously, the entire thing is a mass of weaver spirits, and that's just humans. What human cities are like. But one thing you do see that's slightly unusual is a shape within the diner which you don't really grok at first who it might be, and then you realize from the placement it must be Marshall. He has an odd shape within the Umbra. It glitters softly, like there's a patina of stardust moving over him. You haven't seen anything like it before, but sometimes even humans are just weird. You know, there's something about him that clearly it doesn't alarm you at all. It doesn't strike you as taint or corruption of any kind. It doesn't seem, it's not like massively powerful or anything. You don't feel it's affecting anything, but interesting.
I will return to the table. Exuding probably kind of, it's difficult to do body language in this useless pink squishy mess, but I will give a kind of relaxed kind of body language for anyone who's Garu enough will probably pick it up and sit down and get some eating done.
Garu do have a language all to themselves, which involves kind of body movements and small, kind of head movements and also some vocalizations. And it is more natural when you're not human, but you can still do it as human. People will think you're being a bit weird, but it can be done, certainly. Marshall walks out from behind the counter, kind of your meals have been pushed out. He comes around and serves them to you and says, "Hey, enjoy your food. You get, this will be something good to happen to you today."
Thank you.
Yeah. It really is. Thank you.
There's always some good in every day. Kind of pushes the plates over in the appropriate places and wanders off with that odd little whistle again.
What a nice guy.
He is more than he appears, but is not a concern.
Oh.
The food is very good. Probably to Beanstalk's palate, there's still a little bit too much chemicals and preservatives and things like that in it. But it is, for a diner in the mid-90s, it's fresh. And the meat is good. And not overly processed. Clearly, maybe they get their ingredients from local sources that aren't too tainted. It's enjoyable food for human food. Nothing really beats a fresh, warm kill, but it's not bad.
Gone too quickly.
Always gone too quickly.
It would seem that fate will have us here a while longer.
In Cincinnati.
I hate the cities.
Oh, but Marshall's cousin's on the way with a tow truck, so not too much longer.
I hope so. I was going to talk to the van but I suspect, given what you pointed out in the engine, that hope may be lost for our friend.
Of course, as Beanstalk alluded to, the van will also have a spirit of its own, a machine spirit. Unfortunately for you, none of you are glasswalkers, because glasswalkers can fix a lot of things by talking to the spirits within them. But there isn't one, so no point crying over spilled glasswalkers.
Sure.
Before very long, there's the sound of a large, quite powerful vehicle pulling into the parking lot, and you look out and see a battered old red tow truck. You know, it looks like a kind of 50s truck, that all those kind of rounded edges and big windows and stuff like that. And it pulls up. Immediately reverses and comes in and pulls in back to back with your van, and a woman steps out. She looks older than Marshall, maybe in her late 30s. She has much kind of darker features and hair than Marshall, and her hair's tied back and tucked under a Cincinnati Reds baseball cap. But her features are close enough that there's definitely a family resemblance. Marshall kind of walks up to the window and kind of gives her a wave, and she's like, and he's like looking at your van and kind of like poking it a bit and kind of like looking underneath and looking around. Am I to assume that we're going to go out and say hello?
Yeah, run right out, sort of waving like, "Oh, hello, it's us, we're Marshall friends."
Before we go, I'll kind of go to Zoe and indicate to the wallet that would you deal with the bill, with what is in there, and maybe we can give the rest to the helper.
Yeah, sure. So I'll leave however much it was for the chili and sausage combo, plus tip.
Sure, considerable tip. Absolutely. Kind of Marshall takes the money and says, "Oh, wow, thanks. You guys must be doing all right. But I hope you get where you're going."
Ah, thank you very much. And thank you very much for the help. It's really appreciated.
He kind of folds up the like $30 or so that you have tipped him, and kind of there's like a tip jar that he leans over and tucks it in kind of very carefully, like just kind of making sure it's tucked in just right, before he stands up and starts sweeping. And again, you feel like as soon as you stop talking to him, you're gone. You're out of his perception. Outside, Lila, the woman sort of kind of like turns around, tips her head at you and says, "Okay, yeah, Marshall's friends."
Anything we can do to help?
I don't think so. I'm hoping I can help you.
Just as kind as Marshall. He's such a good man.
He's a good boy. Yeah. My dad used to call him a moon calf. He's a funny one, but he's a real nice guy. Where have you driven from in this?
Why haven't we?
We came from New York.
In this?
Yeah, she's a hardy beast.
Sure, you're the mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You recognize me from the accent.
Yeah, sure. That's one way to put it. Look, I'm amazed that the bottom of this van didn't fall off when you were on the interstate.
I think a little bit of it did, but you know.
Yeah, that could be a problem. Look, I'll take it back to my shop. I'll get a proper look underneath it, but this isn't a quick and easy fix, just so you know. You better come with me, because yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if we hop in your van? Hop in the
Two
tow
of
truck.
you can come in the van with me. The other two of you, I guess you got to walk or take a cab.
I will walk.
Sorry, you're on mute, Inga.
I'll walk with you, Beanstalk.
Okay. Yeah, the other two of you get in the front of my truck, and we'll head back to the shop. You got the address for it, right? She's saying this to Beanstalk.
Was it on the card?
It was indeed on the card. Yeah.
We'll find our way.
With this being like, I am not entirely sure if the urban planning of Cincinnati reflects a lot of, American cities. But for the purposes of this, we will say that you can find the location on the edge of downtown pretty easily via numbered streets and the like. Right? Let's just say that. So, Marco and Zoe, I take it you're going to get in front of this red tow truck.
Yeah,
Yep.
straight in.
Absolutely. You climb on in, and Becca climbs in behind you, sets off, and like you feel like the thrumming vibration of this kind of beast of a vehicle underneath you. Far kind of, I mean, the VW van also kind of roared and vibrated, but in a much less healthy way than this does. And she turns out from the Spindrift Diner and off and away through the streets of downtown Cincinnati. As she is driving, and you get the sense like maybe to the north edge of the downtown of the city, she doesn't particularly engage you in conversation unless you are going to do that with her.
I don't think so. I'm just. Do I get any impression that this cough is like extremely unhealthy, or is it like?
Sure. Give me a perception plus medicine roll, please.
Okay.
And while Pierre's doing that, Zoe has got the window rolled all the way down and has got her head poked out of it.
Sure. Yeah. Was that 2 successes?
2 successes are difficult.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a natural cough. It sounds like she's kind of coming down with something, or like clearly she doesn't look massively unhealthy. Maybe a bit pale. But like, yeah, like it's not a healthy cough.
Okay.
As she's driving, after a while, if no one kind of talks, she'll glance across at Zoe and kind of shrug and wind her window down as well. It's very, very warm. And then she'll turn the radio on, which is just like the local news. Nothing particularly seems to be happening. Just, like a little bit of music, a little bit of local sports results. Nothing to really speak of.
Okay. Probably about halfway through the drive, after like the incessant coughing, I'll probably turn to, what was her name again? Can't remember. Becca. I'll probably turn to Becca and just go, "It's a nasty cough you've got there."
Yeah.
Is it like pollution around the city?
Pollution, sure, that'll be it. Yeah, no, I can't seem to shift it. I had it for a few weeks. I'd go see a doctor, but motor shop doesn't pull in much cash.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I look sort of awkwardly at Zoe. Wait, did any of us carry the cash from the diner?
Yeah, I've got the wallet.
Okay. All right.
So, the drive doesn't take long. Meanwhile, we have Beanstalk and Lila. Is there any kind of like, are you basically heading straight there on foot? Are there any diversions you're going to take? Any conversations you're going to have? Or are you just kind of walking along?
I suppose I'll do some flavor conversation.
Some of that role-playing stuff.
Yeah, some of that silly role-playing stuff. I know nothing of this city or much of the surrounds. I am usually further south on my trails.
Oh, I've never been here before either. But it's nice to stretch the legs, I've got to say.
At least 2 of them anyway. kind of looking awkward and kind of glancing around to see if in a dream world, some deserted streets where I could just shift and go for a run, but obviously that is not going to happen.
It absolutely is not. Downtown Cincinnati, much like every other city you've been in, I guess slightly less loud and intimidating than New York. But yeah, the high rises, the people all around, and kind of a noticeable. There is a noticeable squalor to things here. You get the impression that there aren't maybe very many upmarket places of downtown Cincinnati. Everything seems a bit run down and a bit faded, even more than in the other cities of the World of Darkness. There's a lot of closed shops, a lot of kind of shuttered apartment buildings. And as you make your way through the streets, you draw some odd glances, especially Beanstalk. But no direct aggression. The smells of the city start to fade ever so slightly as the traffic diminishes as you move north, and now you're on kind of the edge of downtown, and you find yourself walking along a long street that is running east to west. And before I go any little bit further, can I just check if the stream is still with us? Because I don't think it is.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's gone down.
Has it gone down? It's gone down. That's odd, and it doesn't seem to have picked back up automatically, which is
Hi, YouTube.
hi YouTube. Yeah,
You're secretly the favourite people.
that's an unusual one because it doesn't seem to have come back up. That's fine. Let's do this.
Still comments coming through.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Anyway, YouTube, you're going to go away now for a second while we restart the stream. Hello, hopefully.
Hello.
Again. That was
Bye.
funny. Haven't had that before. Hello, everyone.
They like to throw the
People-
wrenches.
Can people see us again? Hopefully they can. They might have to
is live.
refresh. Might have to refresh. Because it is technically a new stream.
Well, I have a new advert, so it must be a new stream.
Yeah. All right, that's how that works. Oh, we've got Inga as well. There we go. But hopefully
Glorious.
people can see us if they do a refresh.
I can see Nightbite saying, got monkey wrenched. So, sounds like werewolves are disrupting the work of the Weaver.
Absolutely. Hopefully people can see us in a second.
Possible victory.
Steve can see us.
So
if Steve can see us, that's all we need. That's all we need.
So werewolf were we?
Way.
We're not even an hour and 10 minutes through this story, and already I can see a werewolves, not swearwolves, coming over the horizon. Cool.
A lighter toned game so far than
Yeah.
So far.
Hey, if someone out there wants to make What We Do in the Shadows / Wellington Paranormal RPG, I'm all for it. So, yeah, hi. Can other people see us? Can everyone see? We've got 10 people watching now, so I think people are slowly filtering back in. So, and you can rewind on Twitch, can't you? So they can just rewind to the beginning of the stream. Yes, cool. Okay, let's go. So I believe I was describing. I'm not quite sure where our last one broke off. In fact, someone in chat, why don't you tell us the last thing I was saying? Was I talking about Lila and Beanstalk walking through downtown Cincinnati? Was that where we were on the actual stream? Because I know where I stopped, but I don't know where you guys stopped seeing us. So if someone can confirm or deny that in chat, that would be good, and we can just get a roll in again. I always ask these questions, and there we go. Yes, from John, just about there. Yes, I always ask the questions. And I'm like, no one's responding. In the end, yeah, lag. Beanstalk had just made a stretching 4 legs joke. Very good it was as well. Okay, so yeah, as I say, you're walking through kind of this slightly decrepit environment of the edge of downtown Cincinnati. And as you are walking, you find yourself on a very long street. It's been about 40 minutes to walk this far. And one side of it seems a little rough around here. One side of the road is like a row of squat and battered apartment blocks. And on the other side is a large, very open patch of waste ground, kind of park sized, pretty big. Along the road are several small tents. Some abandoned and some occupied by local homeless folk. These all back onto this large patch of wasteland, which is partly fenced and seems to be full of rubble and detritus. As you approach halfway down the road, you can see that there is a small motor shop with room for maybe 2 vehicles inside it on that side of the road with the tents and the waste ground. There is a sign which is very old and battered that says Harald's Motors across it. It features an old-fashioned cartoonish drawing of a Viking, just like the business card did. And parked up outside it is the tow truck and your VW van, and there are Marco and Zoe. For your benefit, like, you drove here with fairly kind of no real kind of nothing to tell, essentially. When Becca got out of the car, she kind of waved and called hi Alf as she parked up, and one of the homeless men nearby kind of like waved a cheery hello. And then she just started kind of looking at your van. She's under it at the moment on one of those big back skateboards. Yeah, I don't know what they're called. You know what I mean? On a trolley? I don't know. Whatever. Under it on one of those. But Beanstalk and Lila have arrived.
Do you have a nice walk?
As best as one can.
Yeah. She seems kind of a bit sick. Don't know if there's anything we can
help.
All of you, can you give me a roll, please, of perception plus primal urge, which is a talent.
I rolled a 9 and a 1, which I assume cancel out.
Correct. Ones cancel out successes.
So that
Did you said 6, yeah? Percent?
Yeah, standard difficulty 6. Yeah.
I got 2 10s again, so 2 successes.
Oh, the rolls tonight.
Just
so Lila
I
and
got
Zoe
4 successes. But in fairness, that was on 6 dice.
Sure. Well, let's say this then. Beanstalk, you start to smell it as you're walking down the road. It doesn't even take you getting to like the area of the motor shop. Lila and Zoe, as you're kind of like hanging around the motor shop, this particular scent kind of washes over you. Marco, you're not even aware of it at the moment. And what a smell it is, increasingly unpleasant. At first, you might think it is the motor shop, but as you stand in the area, you realize that the weaver scents of oil, paint, and transmission fluids are being drowned out by something else. A sickly smell that it's hard to put your finger to, but it's just the scent of it sort of raises slight goosebumps on your arms. It's unpleasant. It is almost certainly the word you would immediately describe is tainted.
I think I will ask the lady. What is that smell?
She kind of rolls out from underneath and still lying there, kind of like cleaning her hands on a rag, kind of her cap off to one side now. It says, "What? The undercarriage is almost entirely coming off. Both of your axles are cracked and about to split. I can fix this, at least temporarily. And look, you're friends of Marshall. Everyone's friends of Marshall. So I'm not going to charge you much beyond cost for it, but it's not quick. Some of this stuff I've got to go to the depot for. You're going to be here until at least noon tomorrow."
That's all right. Do you know any places nearby that are not too expensive to stay?
there's a couple of hostels. I might not risk them if I was you. Honestly, I don't know, but yeah, you're going to need a place to stay the night. Look, you can hang around here during the day. I'm fine with that if you don't want to go anywhere, but you're going to have to find a place to stay the night.
Okay, no worries. We'll manage.
Always
really,
worth
thank
noting,
you
obviously,
for the help.
as werewolves, you don't necessarily need to find a traditional
Yeah,
place to stay the night.
it was more seeing if there was anywhere nearby that was convenient.
Sure.
But yeah, that's all right then.
When we start talking about that, I want to go over to the person, Alf, the guy over there, see if he try and get the lay of the land from him.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. As you head off there, Chris, I think, was about to say something, and were you about to ask her again about the smell?
I actually wasn't. I was about to try and smell-co-locate it
Sure,
to see if I can get a vector on it.
I'm happy to say she did kind of interrupt you, but I think she would come back to it at the end and kind of say, what were you saying? Sorry?
There is an odor.
Odor? Oh, yeah, I guess there is. I suppose I'm used to it now. Yeah, I don't know, sewerage or something. Yeah, it's funny, when it started, I really noticed it. I even thought about telling the city council about it, but I guess I've just got used to it now.
Perhaps that may explain the cough.
It's only a smell. Look, I got to start work on this already. You guys are okay? Look, I got some chairs. I think there's even some magazines over there. There's a TV. Are you okay to entertain yourselves while I start dealing with this?
I think I might go for a walk.
Yeah, we might just have a quick wander. I haven't been here before, so might as well see the sights, I guess.
Sure. Just be careful. It's a rough neighborhood, all right?
Shouldn't be a problem.
Sure. She kind of pulls herself back under the undercarriage of the vehicle. And let's hop over to Marco. You've gone over to talk to Alf. Alf is, even in the hot July sun, is kind of bundled up in what seemed like a couple of tracksuits that he's put on one on top of the other. And he's sitting, appearing quite comfortable in a deck chair next to kind of the remains of where a fire has been set at some point in the past in a big kind of barrel drum. He sat quite happily kind of watching people walk along and kind of almost like basking in the sun. You know, he's an older guy, maybe in his 60s, like an older black guy with kind of curled black hair. And as you walk over to him, he just kind of gives you a cheery wave.
Hey, Alf, is it?
I'm Alf. What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Marco. Pleased to meet you.
Hey, you're from the Big Apple, aren't you?
Yeah, you can tell. I am. Yeah, I was wondering if you don't mind just if you got some time.
I got all the time in the world.
Yeah, my friends and I, you know, we don't know since this Cincinnati very well. You know, there are some presumably some spots that are kind of better and worse to stay the night. And I was wondering if someone such as yourself might know anything about.
Oh yeah, I can help you out. If you go down back the way you came towards downtown, just look out for a big queue about halfway there off to your left. It's a pretty good soup kitchen, and they have some beds.
Oh, beds! Wow, nice. Yeah, okay. And is there anywhere that we should stay away from? You know, is there anywhere that ain't so nice?
It's all fine. It's all fine if you just gotta get by.
Yeah.
He kind of like pats a little kind of table set up to the side of him, on which seems to be a cut up and slightly roasted pigeon.
Yeah, I mean, I've just eaten, but thanks for the offer. Actually, how hungry am I? I should probably think about this.
I don't think he was so much offering it you as just
okay.
kind of indicating that you can get by killing and eating pigeons.
Okay, yeah. I still might get the wrong end of the stick, but actually,
Sure,
no.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your help, Alf. I hope to see you around.
Yeah, you take care.
All right. And I go back over to the others. And I'm like, good news, guys. There's a soup kitchen a couple of miles that away. That sounds like at least one meal.
While I don't want to feed you information based on rolls, it definitely seems like Marco has not smelled whatever that is.
Yeah, I have not.
Yeah, okay. I'll just say, okay, I mean, that sounds like a good place to go for dinner. In the meantime, I want to know what's causing this smell.
Yeah, how can you be
around here.
thinking about food with that going on right now?
I am always thinking about, oh God, yeah.
And it's odd when it strikes you, Marco. Like, you kind of get the impression you knew it would, like you had smelled it, it just somehow blended into the background for you. But now that you can smell it, it is foul.
Oh,
I
I'm not hungry.
The enemy may be here, or at least an enemy.
I think you may be correct.
So,
Zoe, a point of what's the name of the code of laws again?
the litany.
Is it the litany? The litany's the veil. No, the veil is the veil. The litany's the litany.
Yeah. The veil is what keeps humans from believing in werewolves. The litany is the rules and traditions and laws that the werewolf tribes sometimes follow and sometimes don't.
Zoe, a litanical matter. You still have the fat wallet, do you not?
Yes. Yeah.
We should.
I was intending on using it for the van, but
Let's just give it to her.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I was waiting to see how much it would actually cost because I've only got $20 left. So
it's almost
unless
certainly
someone
going to
knows how to
cost
use the
considerably more than $20.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a bunch of credit cards in here, but I don't know. I can see if I can get them to work.
Maybe we can just give the wallet to Alf over there and the money to Becca. I think Beanstalk's right. It'll be much safer that way, and
Raven
we can focus
will provide if we trust them.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a plan. In which case, yeah, I'm gonna because does Alf? Yeah, okay. So I'll take out the remaining cash, and then I'll head over to Alf and just say, "Hi, yeah, I found this on the street. Is it yours by any chance?" With like giving him a wink.
He kind of looks down at it and goes, "Oh, you know, this is mine, and I was just about to take it to a pawn shop." And kind of like cooing a little over there. It's a very expensive looking wallet. So, yeah. He kind of tips you a very not subtle wink, and waves you happily off. Becca is busy kind of like fiddling around with the bottom of your van, but you could just there's like a table nearby with some cash stuffed into a jar, kind of similar to Marshall's tip jar, but far more of it and more haphazardly, which you guess is just like her way of like paying, you know, doing the exchange of pay. So
cool. Yeah, I'll shove the $20 in there and then jog over to the rest of the group and just say, right, cool. Let's get moving. Follow your nose.
Yeah. So, Beanstalk, I think while all this was going on, you were intending to have a bit of a sniff around anyway. Is that right?
Yes, that is true.
Okay, give me a perception plus your choice of alertness or primal urge roll. And the difficulty is, now that you've kind of, you're trying to trace this quite overpowering smell, the difficulty is only going to be a 5.
Oh, here we go. That's 6 dice. Primal urge and alertness are the same. 1, 2 successes. That wasn't great.
That's absolutely fine, though. So you wander around the motor shop, kind of like taking objectionable lungfuls of breath. I mean, the scents of the motor shop aren't particularly pleasant either, but they pale in comparison to this stench, which is very notably stronger the closer you get to that partly torn down fence onto that wasteland.
I will kind of get attention, cock my head to the gap in the fence, and then I will hop into the wasteland.
Quickly follow.
I'll bring up the rear.
Yeah.
As soon as you cross over, because it's a wire fence, but it has lots of holes in it, lots of kind of sections half torn down, just kind of a wreckage of rust and steel. And as you cross over onto the bounds of the wasteland, as soon as you set foot there, for a start, the scent gets worse. Your hackles raise, your skin kind of just trembles slightly in an instinctive reaction to it. It smells now more distinctly as a kind of chemical rot, like a hospital ward full of the nearly dead and who are decaying already. Something is clearly wrong here. There are patches of oily-looking water everywhere. The rubble and gravel and bits of metal and detritus underfoot is making it quite hard to navigate forwards. Why don't we have a... let's have a... From anyone who might be, you feel might be like looking around to your surroundings and really trying to like perceive what's around you, we can have a wits plus survival roll, please. Which, because all of you are taking it, means that only one person gets the extra 3 dice from Raven. Beanstalk was the last to use it, so unless he passes it on, he will take it.
I would like to ask some questions about my surroundings. Is this a kind of a bushy wasteland, or is it just kind of flat, empty?
There are sporadic kind of bushes, but it's mostly kind of like more kind of urban wreckage.
Okay.
Do I need to take some kind of common sense roll to see if it's safe to change forms at this stage?
You are still visible from the street.
Yeah, but if I got into a bush or something.
Oh, like if you got out of sight of the streets, there's no one, like no passers-by or random humans are here. So, yeah, it would probably be fine, yeah.
I think what I'll do, kind of as soon as I can even make that equation in my head, I'm going to hop into a bush and just go straight to Lupus.
Well, you say straight to Lupus, but there is a roll to make to do this, as my mouse craps out for the 3rd time tonight.
Wired mice are both the past and the future.
I know, but my PC is on the other side of my desk, so it doesn't really work that way, unfortunately. Can you give me a stamina plus primal urge roll? The difficulty is determined by your starting form, which for you is a 6, and the number of successes required are equal to the number of separate steps. And in this version, you don't include the original form. So basically, to shift from Homid to Lupus, you have to have 4 successes at difficulty 6 on stamina plus primal urge. However, there is an alternate, which I believe you can... am I right in saying you can just spend a rage point to immediately... Yes. Or you can just spend a temporary rage point to instantly change form without that quite demanding roll.
I have been wearing this stupid pink suit for a very long time, and I really need a good stretch. So I'm going to drop the rage.
Absolutely. Spend a temporary rage point. And it's worth noting, by the way, that rage is quite easy to accumulate back. So don't be too worried about spending it. Here's an example. You get rage with the first time you see the moon every night. You also get rage every time you're hit in combat. So it's pretty good.
So this is the thing that confuses me. When you're spending rage, are you becoming more rageful or less rageful?
Less rageful, in a way.
Okay.
Your capacity for rage is
frustration.
Yeah, your capacity for rage is reduced. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't get it every time. You don't recover rage every time you're hit. I think that must have been a previous edition. But you do recover it at the start of any tense situation. It's pretty easy to get back. Is the point. Beanstalk. Yeah, you step behind where kind of like there's a big. Let's say there's a car. Let's say it's incredibly rusty and it's on its roof in this, and you can kind of crouch just behind it out of sight and instantly shift form. And when a werewolf shifts, it's kind of like a blurring, like you can't quite see what's happening. The shape kind of blurs and shifts slightly with an odd visual effect. And standing where Beanstalk once was, why don't you give us a description of Beanstalk as a wolf, please, Chris?
So there's the often misconception that werewolves, when they are in lupus, are dogs. They are absolutely not. They would not pass as dogs. They are wolves, very large.
Bone gnawers might.
Yeah, that's true. But while Beanstalk, or Stalks the Camp, as it should now be called, is a silent strider, he actually, in lupus form, resembles a very angry-looking collie.
You just described every wolf. Absolutely. That's and presumably you've got that. Your lankiness in wolf form turns into an oddly kind of long. You're like a sausage wolf.
Sausage wolf. I like it. Yeah,
sort of odd. The equivalent of lanky in 4 legs is long. So we're going to go with that. Absolutely. And as I said, oh God, what were we doing? We were rolling survival, right?
Yeah,
I think that's what we were doing.
We were deciding who uses that extra juice.
Well, Inga, if you rolled 4 successes on base, then I think that's good enough.
It's fine. I don't think we need to. I can just pass the information along that I was going to with 4 successes. Lila, you walk past one of those patches of oily-looking water, this stagnant and stinking little pool, and it occurs to you that this area of the US has been in a heat wave for 2 weeks. Why is this still here?
I will point that out to the others.
Okay. In which case, Zoe's going to start looking around for like discharge pipes or whatever to see if anything is coming in.
You know what? You're looking around for. You know what? If you're looking for that, why don't you give me? Here's an interesting one. Why don't you give me a perception plus? I'm going to say it's survival again. Perception plus survival roll. I'm going to put this at difficulty 8 because I think it's quite a challenging one.
Okay, that's only 1 success for difficulty 8. But...
I think that's enough. Basically, you look around and you are convinced that there are no discharge pipes. I'll just leave it there.
Okay, cool. In which case, it's not some kind of it's not industrial waste coming out of a pipe anywhere. It's something else, which is worse.
Seeping up from the ground, or let's go and have a look, I guess.
There's plenty of area to the wasteland yet, and you can't like see it as a big spread because there's so much detritus and rubbish and kind of blocks of granite and horrible things that proceeding onwards seems the only way to kind of investigate further.
I'll go further in.
Okay. Beanstalk, are you kind of going ahead, or are you kind of padding along beside the others?
I will kind of roll out and kind of trot up to everyone and make a very pointed stretch. And using the Garu language will be just like, we have someone who can sense the presence of the worm. That might be a good place to start. I may also check to see if the Umbra is busier here, but this place is baleful, tainted. You can tell that without any gift.
Can I just say, by the way, I love what Chris is doing there. When he's speaking Garu, he doesn't speak haltingly. I really like that, Chris. Very, very good. Yeah, does someone have sense worm? And would someone like to use it? It's an odd pack who don't have sense worm as a gift among them.
I do not have sense worm.
Oh, no one got sense worm. That's fine.
No.
That's fine. So, is it? Are we just moving forward, or is anyone taking any kind of particular action?
I will. These standing water fluid pools. Do they have a reflection?
Not a very good one because they're covered in this kind of odd oily substance. You think you might be able to use one, but yeah.
I suppose there's also kind of car wrecks, so I might get a mirror there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm happy for you to try and find something like that. Do you want to? Is that what you want to go do?
Yeah, I think so. And do I go all the way in this time and get a cleaner kind of place to invest? I think I will, and I will make this apparent to the group. So, okay. I will find a way to pass across the gauntlet and investigate on the far side. If I'm not back in a few minutes, then I have found Baines and will be in glorious battle.
It's worth noting, by the way, if anyone wants to step sideways at any point, there is no extra points or anything that need to be spent or extra rolls to go to pull the pack through into the Umbra with you. Only one person has to step sideways, and they can choose.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, any others they can just pull through with them as they go.
Okay, so retcon.
Sure.
We should.
Let's go.
I will find a place where we can cross the gauntlet, but we should check this realm first.
Matt, the stuff is it? Does it look like it's water with like a film layer over it, or is it potentially like an oil substance, like that wouldn't necessarily evaporate off in the heat and stuff?
I'd say it doesn't look like there's oil on the surface. It looks like there's something mixed in with the water. And I say oily because it seems like an oily consistency rather than an oily color. But it is odd. There's like little globules of it that just float free in the water, and other parts seem to be like sort of infused in with it. It doesn't seem to be behaving in a particularly normal way for normal fluids to behave. All of this, obviously, is setting off massive alarm bells in the heads of Garu. Beanstalk is off to find somewhere to step sideways and investigate. The other three of you, are you just kind of proceeding onwards in the wasteland?
Well, yep. I'm going to investigate this tainted water more closely to see if I can assess kind of the level of taintedness.
Without having something like sense worm, there's no real practical way you can do that. All you can rely on is kind of your senses, unless you have any gift that kind of can give you any more of a read on it.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, keep proceeding.
Moving forwards? Okay. As you move further forwards, you start to notice another couple of things. You notice that there is an odd-looking bluish-black mold that sits on top of some of the water patches as you proceed onwards, or just kind of grows all over rocks nearby them, in an odd way as well, like all over an entire rock rather than just spreading out, and the rocks around it won't even be affected. It becomes very apparent very quickly that it's definitely at least one source of the odor.
Okay, yeah, if we've immediately identified that, would my rite of cleansing be applicable in this scenario?
I'm afraid I'm not intimately familiar with that. Right?
So,
Have you got
I've got the rough text.
Sure.
Which is basically you are cleansing a person or object of spiritual contamination.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I can see, it is just a charisma plus rituals roll, because it's a rite of accord.
Yes,
but there is some flavor that goes along with it.
Yeah, you. It looks like you also need things that you don't have right now.
Yeah.
You need a branch of some kind dipped in pure water or snow. Which you don't have access to, and things like that. Rites are definitely very kind of circumstantial things that you need to prepare for. Like one of these rocks covered with mold or something, absolutely could be something that you could try and purify with a rite of cleansing.
Yeah, I was basically just trying to see if it was possible, because
it's definitely possible if you want to cleanse one of these small pools or rocks, perhaps that could work. But as I say, you're not in a position to do that right now, just because you have no.
You don't have the things you need.
Yeah. But
okay, cool.
But yes, for the person, yes. Weirdly, the page that is on is also the page with the art from our opening video crawl. Is anyone else going to take kind of a look at this? When you were doing that, Zoe, were you actually kind of looking more closely at this mold, or were you just kind of?
Yeah. So I was trying to investigate it to see if I can determine whether I could cleanse it.
Sure.
If I had the objects required.
Absolutely. Why don't you give me a dexterity plus primal urge roll, please?
Sure. What difficulty?
Let's say difficulty 7.
That's 1 success then.
Okay. In that case, you kind of do you think you'd kind of maybe go down on one knee and just kind of look over some of this stuff scattered over nearby rocks?
Prodding it with a twig or something.
Sure. As you do so, you are fast enough to avoid the kind of small sort of puff of odd, slightly there's a puff of spores essentially that comes out as you poke it. You kind of pull your head back so you don't inhale some of the foul stuff. Immediately, that odor kind of washes over you, and you almost kind of involuntarily just kind of gip at the back of your throat and rear back, and kind of the rock goes scattering away as you kind of move and kind of maybe,
I flinch back and I growl instinctively just from this is incredibly disgusting.
Absolutely. Beanstalk, why don't you give me, please, friend, a let's say a wits plus. Do werewolves have awareness, or is that a?
I think that is vampire only.
Vampire only. Then wits plus alertness, please. We'll call that a difficulty 8, because actually a clear piece of mirrored surface in this wasteland is probably not that easy to find, but possible.
This is still not a bad pull for me, because 1, it's werewolf. You never roll a low number of dice in werewolf. And 2, this is kind of what I'm built for.
Yeah. So does Lupus have extra wits?
No, not wits.
It's -2 perception difficulty. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. 5 dice, difficulty 8.
Mm-hmm.
No successes.
Yeah, you don't find anything, I'm afraid. You find another couple of rusted car wrecks, but the mirrors are long gone.
I will trot back to the rest of the group. Literally tail between legs.
No, damn.
This place has been absolutely ransacked.
You all definitely feel like the smell is getting worse the more you are traveling in this direction towards what your rough understanding of the geography of this patch of land is, towards something that feels like perhaps the heart of this wasteland.
Yeah, I think we've just got to find the source.
Yeah.
Even in places such as this, the worm does not emerge, it is placed.
Yeah.
as you move forwards quite soon, because as I say, like it's like a relatively medium-sized park, the entire stretch of it, as far as you can tell. The footing under you gets worse as you move forwards, more shifting gravel and detritus to kind of kick to one side as you make your way through. And eventually you emerge into an area where most of the detritus has been kind of cleared away. And instead, in the center of this area is some kind of large clump of tree-like vines that are wrapped around each other and coiled around lumps of concrete and sort of odd rocky outcroppings that seem to be coming naturally out of the ground. The vines are way over your head in height and coiled around each other and covered in unpleasant looking thorns. You feel like maybe if you got a bit closer and kind of worked at it, you could, try and see what's through there. But like from this perspective, from like the several meters you are away, it almost looks like this kind of impenetrable mass.
I sort of instinctively reach for my clave. And I guess I'll approach, and if I can't see a way through, I might start cutting into it.
Sure. Yeah.
So
what about the other three?
I will take this opportunity, given we are far away from any creatures now, to move to Krynos.
Sure, and you can do that for free. It's your breed form. Any of the other three of you, if you ever want to change from something back to Homid, that's absolutely free. No roll, no rage spend. You can always transform back to your breed form. But Beanstalks is Krynos, i.e. 8 foot tall furry killing machine. That's how metas are born. So, yep. Beanstalk, and it occurs to me we haven't really asked for full descriptions of anyone else's character. Maybe we'll ask for one in every episode. How about that? We can get that extra definition. Beanstalk, tell us what you look like in Krynos.
So in Homid, Beanstalk is long and lanky. So in Krynos, Stalks the Camp is probably a clear 2 meters, but does not look. Is not a 2 meter flesh triangle, is very, very kind of gangly and unpleasant to look at. Still healthy looking, kind of blackish fur and a good pupper, but also a very dangerous pupper.
Yeah, and maybe carrying over, I know you don't have so much of that jackal-like aspect that a lot of Silent Striders have, but maybe a bit more, at least reminiscent of that in Krynos, as they also tend towards the lanky rather than the big, muscly, furry killing machine sort of thing.
Interestingly enough, though, Stalks the Camp is not a pure breed Silent Strider.
Adopted into the tribe.
Adopted.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yes. Silent Striders do indeed adopt many metas. So, you shift it. Are you just kind of shifting warily into that, or are you taking action as well?
I think kind of allowing the others to go forward, I think.
Sure. Lila, Zoe, what are you folks doing?
I too am going to shift into Krynos. I'm going to spend a rage to do it though, because seeing all of this has pissed me off.
Sure.
So I'm going to release the frustration by turning into the previously described 2 meter flesh triangle.
Yes, absolutely. And I know we haven't had a particular human description of Zoe, but why don't you tell us what Zoe looks like in Krynos?
In Krynos, in Lupus she shifts into like a red wolf. But in Krynos she is massive.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, she's in a rune, which means that she's already like
predisposed to be a warrior and be
exactly. But incredibly scary. Huge muscles,
huge woman wolf.
And she's also going to kind of sharpen her claws on the concrete and then get ready to tear the absolute shit out of these vines.
Sure, absolutely. Still red-furred?
Yes, still red-furred. Kind of got quite a few scars on the body though.
Sure. Well, we say that, and I don't want to get in the way of your your character definition there. But battle scars are actually a mechanic in Werewolf. Or at least they were in older editions. Is there still a listing for battle scars?
It is still in this, yeah.
Sure.
So it's not defined, but
yeah, they might not be like major, large, significant scars. Is all I'm saying.
No. Yeah,
Otherwise, you'd have a lot more renown because
yeah,
battle scars give you renown.
She's obviously like scrapped up, but hasn't received any major.
Yeah, there's no like massive things or anything. Yeah, Lila, what are you doing?
Same. I'll use rage to also shift form.
Awesome. Into Krenos, into big old werewolf.
He's more husky, sort of in color and general appearance, but also obviously big hulking.
Yeah, and kind of like a blonde wolf, like kind of whitish, yellowish fur.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So we are loaded for bear here. Marco seemed to be the person who was. It sounds like Beanstalk is holding back a little bit. It seems like Marco gets maybe the first swing at this stuff. And let's we're not going to obviously go. Well, maybe the vines do attack you, but they don't. So we're just going to go into non-initiative scrapping with this thing. Marco, why don't you give me a dexterity plus melee roll, please? At whatever the difficulty of your clave is.
So
do you know that,
dexterity plus melee is I'm rolling 6 dice, and my clave is level 4. That is not a difficulty. So
Chris, I don't suppose you could. You might know where to find. Oh, melee and thrown weapons. Here we go. Well, yes, you have a clave, right? Not a grand clave. Yep. Yeah,
just a regular old clave.
Cool. So that's a difficulty of 6. Cool. So give us that roll, please.
I rolled 2 successes and 2 1s, so that is 0 successes.
In that case, hang on. Should I have even? No, actually, no. It's silly. You would hit it. It's right there in front of you, inanimate. It's fine.
But I
sorry.
make it through it.
But what we're going to do is have a strength, like a damage roll. So if you roll your strength plus 2, please. So take your strength and add 2 and roll that for me.
Even though I got 0 successes.
Yeah, I don't know why I asked you to roll because you're.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Strength is 2. So I got an 8 and a 6, which is 2 successes. Plus 2 is 4, right?
Yes, maybe. So if that's 4 successes, let's. These vines do have a soak because they're kind of. I'll go into maybe why in a second, but they're certainly an unpleasant prospect. You kind of stride up to the vines, which as you approach, kind of you see that the surface of them is odd and kind of mottled and almost kind of weirdly. It reminds you of like the skin of a lizard or a reptile. Not overtly, they're not like overtly supernatural, but they're certainly very, very odd and repulsive looking. And as you slash away at them, the surface of them kind of peels back slightly, and an odd kind of bluish, yellowish liquid kind of pulses out strangely, like not quite blood, not quite sap, but still really, really horrible. So as you quite rightly pointed out in the chat, no, because you're of course doing aggravated damage with this clave, yes, it doesn't get a soak against aggravated damage, so you're absolutely right. Several of the vines now are kind of peeling back away, almost like a reaction. You cut through them and they don't fall off, they just kind of like curl unpleasantly down away from where you slashed. Yes. Let's go next with I don't feel the need to go into full initiative, so I'm just gonna randomly roll. Let's go with Zoe going up next. So
Cool.
Again, you don't need to roll to hit the thing, so I assume you're just kind of slashing at it with claws.
I'm just going ham with the claws. So I actually took the razor claws. I spent my Yeah. So I've spent 1 rage to take my turn sharpening my claws. So that's now done, which means that I get to do 2 additional dice of damage.
So here we go, folks, and this is why werewolves are fearsome in the world of darkness. So here we go. What Holly is going to do now for this claw damage is take Zoe's strength, natural strength stat. Going to add a natural 2 to that. All claw attacks are strength +2, so you add another 2 dice to that. Then you're going to add another 2 dice for your razor claws, and then you know what? You're not just rolling your strength, you're rolling your strength in Krenos, which is 4 more.
Yeah, so I have 8 strength in Krenos. So that's going to be...
That's what, 8, 12 dice?
Yeah. So I'm just counting it up.
And this is
I love this game.
This is why you see, because obviously vampire and werewolf have this kind of like thing between them where the vampires and werewolves hate each other. That's where this came from, if anyone's interested in that stuff, in that trope. And it's always like this old truism that you can like set them against each other in the lore and even in a game, but like one werewolf is probably going to tear apart a vampire coterie unless they're like elders or something, because this, as you can see, great handfuls of dice. How is that roll going to work for you?
Okay, so we have... Sorry, I just need to count it all up.
Go for it.
We might be here a while.
Yeah. So that's 10, 24, 30, 38, 40, 46, 49, 58.
Yep, sorry, I need the individual dice. If you see what I mean. Like,
what's
I need the number of successes, like it was any other roll.
Yeah. So what's the difficulty?
Oh, so 6. Unless I say different, it's always 6. Sorry.
So okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes.
And as with other rolls, don't forget to like cancel out with 1s, if you see what I mean.
I didn't roll.
So was that 7? Did you say
7? Yeah.
7. Yep. So great swaths of the vines peel away as Zoe rakes those razor sharp claws across them. Kind of, they try to kind of peel away in the same way Marco did, but you're clawing to them through it too fast for it to even react. And great lumps of the unpleasant organic matter are dropping to the ground to either side of you. You're definitely cutting enough of it away that you can see far more of the interior now than you could before. And inside, you can see what appears to be a relatively small box-like concrete building. Lila, I believe you are going to carve these up as well.
Yeah, might take a moment to just in the sort of Garu just sort of gesture, I guess, in enough way, just be like fantastic, looking at Zoe's attack on those, and then just getting into it myself as well.
Absolutely. So that's going to be a strength +2 roll for you, and don't forget to take your Krenos strength, not your Homid strength. Razor claws is ridiculous. Just the extra 2 dice is just like, just insult to injury, you know.
Well, injury to injury,
more injury to injury.
Dice.
Yeah.
How weedy is that compared now?
Yeah.
I think the only game that has larger dice pools than Werewolf is Aberrant.
Aberrant has huge dice pools. Yeah, I love Aberrant. We should play Aberrant sometime. My favorite superhero game by a long way.
Only 2 successes.
Only 2 successes. You know, I'd say that's because there is only a limited amount of stuff that, like, Zoe is carving away such great clumps of this stuff that it just kind of stood to one side. There's not that much room along this flank of the vines surrounding this place. But you do what you can, and bits and pieces fly to the side as you rake away. I guess we're going to the next round now, because Beanstalk, I think you just said you were kind of hanging back while the others went about their business. Is anyone changing what they're doing?
Can I? Are there any pools of water nearby where I can make a peek?
Yeah, there are some. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try and peek at that through this goop.
You're trying to step sideways in it.
Yeah, well, just peek, not step sideways.
It's definitely not reflective enough to do that.
Okay, fair enough.
Whatever the gunk is preventing, any kind of thing like that. Sorry.
That's okay. How shiny is Pierre's glaive?
Oh, the glaive would certainly do. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go, Marco.
I'll look down at my blade and then I'll like realize what you're indicating, and I'll come over with the blade and like hold it up.
Realizing you are surplus to requirements in this gardening endeavor.
Yeah, definitely. Like I just like sliced it a little bit, and then I was like, look to my left. Zoe,
some chainsaw going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Patience,
no problem.
My friend. This place is thick, and I will attempt to poke a peek through the shiny glaive.
Through the glaive, absolutely. So yes, this will be a. So this is interesting because obviously the gauntlet effects is actually due to the weaver, not the worm. So what I'm going to say, if you roll your gnosis against, because you're peaking, so it's going to be a +1. I'm going to say if you can roll your gnosis against a difficulty of, but your thing reduces the difficulty back down. So peaking is normal difficulty for you. The difficulty is 7.
Okay, and I've got 4 dice there.
Isn't there a thing where it's like, if it's not a static mirror, it's like harder or something?
I don't think so. There may be, but this is more or less.
It's static enough, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, 3 successes and a great set of dice rolls.
Yeah, that's instant. You catch an immediate glimpse through into the umbral realm, and it is more or less exactly as you expected. These vines are twitching and writhing and reaching to the sky, and a soft, odd shrieking noise is coming from them as your packmates tear them apart. The entire landscape is even worse. The mold growths are fungal atrocities, looking disturbingly animal-like in the way they sway and contort in the soft umbral wind. The pools of water now seem like genuine threats, bubbling and hissing with caustic fluids. The miasma here is real, an indescribable rainbow of faint colors that even though you're peeking, it seems to drift through your glimpse through the silver, and kind of sets your lungs slightly afire and the skin of your face tingling. It is not good.
But no actual danger, walkie, bane spirit, black spiral.
You don't immediately see any banes or any kind of worm spirits, no.
Okay.
But the vines are obtrusive enough and have enough of a spiritual presence that you can't see beyond them to what might be inside their reach.
Thank you. That was more than useful. The vines, and then whatever we do, it is best to do it in this realm first, I think.
And speaking of the vines, Lila, why don't you have another swipe at them, please? We're not soaking for this as well because Garu claws are also deal aggravated damage.
That is 5 successes. Slightly less distracted now by
absolutely. Let's say that Zoe is kind of like carving great clumps, like stood up, kind of tearing them apart. You find a bit more perches lower down, where you can kind of hunker and like grab and dig your claws into the roots of these things and just tear them bodily from the earth. So you're kind of furrowing a path along the chunks that Zoe has carved the tops off of. And speaking of Zoe, let's have one more roll and see how much ridiculous destruction Zoe can unleash with those razor claws. I take it the razor claws last for a scene.
Yeah, it lasts for a scene. This is less good though. Still no wands.
That's good,
which is lovely. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 6 successes.
Only 6, but there was only 2 more health points left for those vines. So Yeah. Between you and Lila, you have torn, as I say, like a furrow, a swath of destruction through these vines, and now there is a path open that everyone can kind of go through, at least single file. Even, you don't need to shift away from Krenos to kind of just heave the remains of the vines to either side and pass through. Which I'm assuming people are going to do, but maybe you're happy there. That's fine. We'll just go home now.
No, I immediately head first in.
Sure, absolutely. And what is there? As I say, it's an odd box-like concrete building, like an old bunker. Although I guess in America they don't have so much of those things. It seems. As I say, it seems old, but it's difficult to pin down whether it's been there for years or decades. It's pockmarked and stained in several places with that blue-black mold. There are open and empty windows in the thick walls and a similar empty rough doorway over to one side, leading to a dark interior. Now you are past these vines. You can hear the soft noise of what sounds like someone humming and singing in a high-pitched, discordant fashion coming from the opposite side of the bunker from where you are, but sounds like it's on the outside of the bunker. It does not appear to have reacted to the considerable amount of noise and violence you just did.
Okay. I mean, yeah, Zoe's pretty impatient, especially around this kind of stuff. So he's probably just immediately going to try and go towards the source of the noise.
Is everyone else thinking kind of similar, like barreling along behind Zoe?
Lila will follow, yeah.
I think I'm being a little bit more cautious because I'm still in Homid, and yeah.
Sure.
I think I'll kind of pat you as gently as possibly on the back and request another go on your knife. now we're inside. I think it's worthwhile taking another look.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Lila, did you say you were following Zoe around to the rear of the building? I mean, both of you can move. It's not a very large building, and you can move around there quite quickly. And as you come around to the other side, this is what you see. There are a few barrels stacked up there on this side of the building, seemingly quite newly made, but still horribly corroded and rusty, where the fluid inside has spilled over them. Several of them lie empty on their sides nearby, and standing over the ones that are still upright is a human, listening to something on cheap old foam headphones. He is topless and scrawny, with unpleasant looking sores over his back. His head is shaved roughly and unevenly, and he is washing his pale white face in the disgusting liquid in the barrel. As you watch in just the moment as you round the corner, he swills it round his mouth and swallows some while letting the other material spit out into the barrel. And as he swallows some, he arches his back and shivers and sort of kicks his foot against the barrel as if taking a shot of very flavorful alcohol. Splashes of the liquid hit the ground and hiss softly against the already pitted gravel and earth.
Okay.
Do you think you would react in any way that would immediately alert him to your presence, whether that's leaping for him, or maybe you still want to take him, maybe you don't immediately go for him, or like
I'm immediately going to I don't know if wolves like roar. It's not like a roar.
Werewolves would definitely roar or howl or growl or vocalize.
Yeah, like
sure.
Really loud roar.
Absolutely. As you do that, his kind of head lurches round towards you, like with an odd, like if a normal human did it, it would hurt. It would like dislocate something or tear a muscle, and it just kind of whips round to you, maybe even turning a bit too far round. And immediately with a non-human kind of speed, there's one of these holes in the wall, kind of old window spaces, but just, lead into darkness, no actual glass. And the figure scrambles just maybe a bit too. It's up to you if you want to leap forward, but if you do, you are nevertheless too slow. He is also has some unusual supernatural speed to him in the same way that you can if you spend rage or the like. He scrambles up into one of those window openings with jarring speed and ease. In your last moment of visibility before he passed into the dark, you saw odd shifting movements under his skin as if the muscles were warping and contorting oddly. You can hear him inside moving away unusually fast and an odd distance given the relative size of the bunker. He seems to be moving further away than the size of the bunker would indicate. And all you hear as he disappears into this darkness is a wailing in a desperate, squeaky tone. "They're here! They're a-coming! I told you! Wolves is here!" And I think we'll end the session there, folks. So thank you for watching this first episode of Werewolf the Apocalypse as part of the Cincinnati Chronicles. Please throw any comments or questions you have in the chat and we'll address those. First, I'm going to do the usual promo nonsense. Down below, there are links. YouTube and Twitch, we are on both of those places. Please check out the other one because you're watching on one of them. There's our social media, our Discord, and our Patreon. Those all do what you'd expect. Check them out if you're interested. We run 3 weekly stories here on Twitch. Tales, I should call them, being as that's what we tell. Mondays has been Shadows of Esteren, and that will pick up again soon in the new year, I think. In the meantime, we're running a 2-part series starting this Monday and running on to the next one, which Johnny is running of a special little Call of Cthulhu scenario that's set on a sort of very near future space station. So that will be fun and interesting. Wednesday is Symbaroum, which is a dark fantasy system from Free League that we love. That's kind of our flagship series. It's been running a long time, so check that out. And Thursdays is, of course, Cincinnati Chronicles, this anthology series of World of Darkness stories. We also have one-shots on the first weekend of every month, usually Saturdays, but this month, this coming December 1 is a Sunday. It is this Sunday, the 5th of December. It will start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon GMT, and we will be playing Alien. It's a sequel to one we played earlier this year, our Place of Burning one-shot. If you can check that out on YouTube, if you want to catch yourself up. This is a direct sequel to it, and it is called Congress of Sorrows, and we will see you all there this Sunday. Yes. That's it for me. Do you think I'll ever get bored of saying those things?
Nah.
Trick question. I've been bored for over a year of saying those things. Chris, what have we got in chat, friend?
Oh, of course, we've lost so much stuff because of the changeover.
Of course we have, because of the...
We actually talked about this as well during the great voidness. But let me recant some of the stuff from the earlier session.
Yeah, sure.
Zoe's very kindly... Holly is very kindly put in chat.
That shows Holly was just doing such a good job of becoming a character.
Yeah. Someone did ask... Someone did ask if this was the first episode, and it's a good opportunity to just discuss the... It is kind of.
Yeah, sure.
It's fine to start watching here. You're not going to miss anything.
Absolutely fine. You're not really going to miss anything. You might gain some things by watching earlier. But yeah, Cincinnati Chronicles is a series of 5... linked short stories, all of 4 streams each, hopping between the different core systems of World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Mage Ascension, Wraith the Oblivion, Changeling, The Dreaming. In that order, we'll be playing them as well. And essentially, they're all stories set in the same city on the same day. And they do interweave, but they are 5 stories. Not one long story, but if you watch them all, you'll definitely get more from it. You'll go, oh, that's a little callback to that, and here's this Easter egg, and that's what was going on with that, and things like that.
It's the Telling Tales Disomatic universe.
Yes, but you can absolutely enjoy them individually. So yeah, you can absolutely start with Werewolf. Vampire the Masquerade is completed, and it is on our YouTube. If anyone
here is a wonderful sandbag of a question, so I can search for ones further up.
Steve, standard question for a first episode then. Who's played Werewolf the Apocalypse before? This could be answered very quickly, but I'll let these folks do it. Put your hand up if you've played Werewolf the Apocalypse before. There you go. Just Chris. And I believe that the vampire story was the first time in the World of Darkness for Holly and Inga. But Pierre has played Vampire before on this very channel in our original Vampire 5th edition series that no one liked.
Oh, God.
We liked it. One from Inga. I don't know who that is. And this is why you can never own too many dice. Yeah, Werewolf, right?
I don't think there are that many Ingas. If there are other Ingas out there watching,
hey, say hi.
Ingas represent.
Yeah.
No, thankfully I'm a dice goblin, so I have more than enough.
It's you need a lot of D10s.
Criticism and questioning and funny looks, but do you really need that many dice? Yes, and here's why.
Here's why. You played Werewolf. This is pretty much the only one of the World of Darkness ones with a standard character where you need so many dice.
Arborant's World of Darkness, though, isn't it?
Sorry?
So Arborant is White Wolf, it's not World of Darkness.
Yeah, Aberrant is still White Wolf in the storyteller system, but it's not World of Darkness. But yes, you do need, a lot of dice in Aberrant. One from Steve. Are there any werebears in World of Darkness? Well, I will respond to that, Steve. If my friends here can stall for me for about 5 seconds.
Oh boy, he's gonna get the Tome of Childhood. Oh, this is the best book. This is just the Bible of nonsense. Oh, this is peak. This is where White Wolf quite literally jumps the quite literal shark.
So these are the Goral.
It's the actual book. I thought you just had the Changing Breeds book. That's incredible.
No. So yes, in the lore of Werewolf, there are a number of other shape changes called the Changing Breeds, or the Ferra, if you want to use the Garou term for them. There was a horrible event in the ancient past called the War of Rage, in which the Garou went to war with the other changing breeds, basically saying, we're the chosen ones of Gaia, you lot are just pretenders, and we're sick of you, so we're just going to kill you. It's not a glowing point in the Gary's past, and they are still by and large extremely prejudiced against the survivors of the other Ferra, one of which is the Goral, or werebears. And yes, you can absolutely play a werebear. There's a werebear with a gun, if anyone would like to play that werebear. Yeah, they're called the Goral. They're awesome.
But presumably they don't refer to themselves as werebears.
Polar werebear. No, they refer to themselves as the Goral. Yeah.
And one last one, just to part on an in-joke. Oh, wow, a communist bear.
Yeah. Sauerkraut Kid, hey. Zoe is no Anton. No, that's true. Zoe is the opposite of Anton, which several of our players here might not get because it's a Symbaroum reference. But yeah, Anton is Mike's character in Symbaroum, and poor Mike. Poor Mike and poor Mike's dice. Definitely not. Yeah, there we go. Anything else? Or are we just about... do we reckon we're wrapped up there? Can we just acknowledge this from Night Bites when I showed the picture of the werebear with a gun?
Oh, boo!
Yeah. Talk about the right to bear arms or the right to arm bears. Oh, dear. Yeah, there we go, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for more Cincinnati Chronicles for the second episode of Werewolf. What we are doing, I believe, and if my colleagues here can back me up on this, what you're probably going to get is the first 3 episodes of Werewolf the Apocalypse, and then we'll be off on our Christmas break. So we'll be away for 2 weeks, but that means you'll just have to wait for that finale, which will arrive at early on in January, I think. But still got 2 episodes left before the festive period. So yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care and stay safe. And thanks, everyone. Thanks to all these people too. Not like in my head, the people around me.